Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be doing a full day wear test of the brand new foundation and concealer from W7. These are from their very vegan range. They were released in January as part of Veganuary, I assume. We have the Perfectly Matte foundation and the Perfectly Matte concealer. I think they also came out with a mascara at the same time, as well as some blush duos in different shades, but I did not see them on the website when I made my order, and I really feel like that is a product that I would have wanted to try, so I'm really sad that I missed out on those. As soon as I saw this foundation on W7's Instagram, I shared it on my stories and I asked whether or not people wanted to see a review, and like it was an overwhelmingly positive response. I think there was only like 3 or 4 no's or something, so I was like, right, you guys clearly want to see this, so let's grab this foundation. And then I saw the shade range and I figured we really needed to talk about it. Before we jump in, I do just want to give a quick disclaimer about this video. I have worked with W7 in the past. They do send me some PR. However, this is not the case for this video. They haven't asked me to make this video. They don't even know I'm making it. And I have purchased these products with my own money. They have not been sent to me. So I think that pretty much covers all of it. Did I remember to focus? Oh, I don't know. I've turned off autofocus because I didn't like the way it was looking in the last video. I've made a few changes as well. I hope you guys like them. So yeah, let's jump into the details and the application for this foundation and concealer. All right, guys, I hope I don't look like too much of an egg right now. I've changed all the angles and the position of the camera, so hopefully you're not just seeing like loads of forehead. So as you can see, I've already got my eye makeup done. This isn't one that I filmed. I just wanted to have another play with the Beauty Bay New Romantic palette. I have already got a review of it on my channel, so I will link that if you haven't seen it already. Everything that I've used for this look will be listed and linked down below. There may be some affiliate links which are clearly marked. And then before starting, I also did my usual skin prep, so again, that will all be listed down below. So the first item that we've got to talk about today is the very vegan Perfectly Matte foundation. This retails for $6.95 on the W7 website for 32 milliliters, so just over a standard foundation, so that is very affordable. We don't have a lot of information about it. On the website it just says that it provides a buildable medium coverage, and as you can see, my skin is not doing well at the moment. I've had a really bad hormonal breakout, but I think it's on the mend, so I'm definitely looking for coverage, and I also have more oily skin, so I do like the sound of something matte. Then the second item is the very vegan Perfectly Matte concealer. This one retails for $3.95 and you get 14 milliliters, which is actually really good. For comparison, the only other one that I have that has this much product in it is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer, which has 15 milliliters, and I want to say it's at least like 25 pounds. So for the concealer, it says relieve those dark circles and hide pesky blemishes with W7's very vegan matte concealer, a high coverage, creamy formula that can be applied to any problem area, whether that's under the eyes, chin, or forehead. So that is exactly where I'm going to be using it. I like the idea of high coverage, but my under eyes get really dry, so I don't know how that's going to go, so we're going to see. Now, as I'm sure I have mentioned in the intro already, the shade range did take me by surprise because we have 5 shades for this foundation. 5 shades. I already had this criticism about their previous foundation, It's Glow Time foundation, and out of all their foundation ranges, they literally only have one that has like a good amount of shades and a good variety of shades. The shade range is also kind of confusing and I can't really tell what's what based on the names and the photos on the website, so I will put them up on the screen. But let me just start by telling you that I have bought the lighter shade and I have bought the shade Buff. I have never ever been the shade Buff in a foundation. I have been Alabaster, I have been Porcelain, I have even been, at a stretch, Ivory, but I have never been the shade Buff. To me, Buff falls into the light category, not the fair category, so I am a little bit scared. When you look at the website and you look at the drop down for the other shades, they do all look really light. We have early tan, fresh beige, we have natural beige, and then we have sand beige. But then I feel like looking at some of the photos of the bottle itself, it definitely looks darker than the swatches that they put on their website, so I'm really confused. This is definitely one that to me, it might be easier to see in person. I know that they're sold in places like B&M. The last time I went to B&M, I didn't actually see any makeup at all, and if there is makeup, there shouldn't be any testers, so you wouldn't even be able to check. So yeah, the pictures on the website are slightly confusing. I can't really tell where the shade range starts and where it ends. For the concealer, we do again only have 5 shades. So here we have Fair, which is the one that I've got, Light, Ivory, Medium, and Caramel. Again, looking at the list of shades, it doesn't look that dark, but looking at the bottle, it looks a little bit darker. Look, I think we can just do a little bit better. I wasn't really impressed when I saw that. Like, I like W7, but what were you thinking? What were you thinking? I don't get it. Just quickly, in terms of my shopping experience on the website, I have purchased from them before. I've never had any issues. Their prices do tend to be a little bit higher than the prices that you might find in places like B&M, but their shipping is free. So especially at the moment when we are in lockdown, definitely appreciate that. And the products tend to be on the website earlier than they are in shops. They did have a warning on their website that because of everything going on, things might take a little bit longer. Didn't find that to be the case. I thought it might take a while, but I think it got shipped very quickly and I had it like 2 or 3 days later, which is the experience that I've always had. I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to do in terms of priming with this one. I'm not 100% sure. At this time of year, I do get dehydrated, so I tend to like to double prime. So I'll normally use a hydrating primer all over and then some sort of mattifying primer on my nose, my cheeks, and the center of my forehead. But I do want to see how this foundation performs. I want to see, does it dry me out or not? So I think we might just get primer today. Why not? Why not? I've just grabbed my palette and I'm really scared of this shade, so let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Well, that looks like a pretty good shade, actually. Well, I guess we better just jump in. It does look pretty runny. I'm just taking it on my Beauty Bay microfiber sponge. Okay, that's actually a really good shade match. Oh, it smells fresh. Okay, that coverage is really nice. Seems to be spreading around quite well. Gonna bring it down into my neck. Have you seen this? This dry patch is not going away. It's maybe like a tiny bit dark, like I could probably do with it being like a shade and a half lighter, but then it's also not something that's gonna make me look washed out. It's a really, really fluid texture. It's really, really thin and it's spread out really nicely. So it's not like a heavy, cakey foundation, which is really nice. And I feel like with matte foundations, this is something that we've moved away from quite a lot. It doesn't look super matte right now, I will say. Like, I've definitely got some glow, but it's going on really nicely. I would say it probably reminds me a bit of the Clinique, which one is that? The Clinique Anti-Blemish Foundation, which I really love because it does have really good coverage and I tend not to need to spot conceal, but it's also not heavy, it doesn't cake up on me, and especially when I've got a breakout like this, something that's got coverage but a little bit fluid like this might actually work really well. I would say a pinch too dark. I could go lighter, but considering the shade name is Buff, I expected a lot worse. They could do with having a shade below this. I mean, they could do with having a lot more shades in this foundation, let's not kid ourselves. But the finish is really nice. I guess it's that more luminous matte. I feel like that is what brands are going for at the moment, like the new reformulated Huda foundation. We're going back to matte foundations, but we're still not done with glowy foundations. I'm gonna add another pump. I'm gonna do the other side. I feel like I should have primed my nose. Like, it's looking pretty glowy already and my nose is always the first place to get oily. So I just know it's not gonna be enough, but that's what I wanted to test today. I'm wondering if it's darkening as it's drying. Definitely doesn't match on the neck, but I don't know if you can see that on camera. If I pop some, oh god, yeah. Yeah, that dries down a lot darker. Okay, that's not so good. It seems to be layering pretty well. I'm barely gonna be able to pull this off. Like, this is probably more my summer shade when it darkens. I've brought it down quite far and like, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but yeah. Okay, there we go. I think that's all of it. And I don't think I'm gonna need spot concealing. I feel like this is higher than medium coverage. I feel like coverage wise we are medium to high. Like, this was a bad breakout and I haven't done any color correcting or anything underneath. I wouldn't call this matte. I think it reminds me a little bit of NARS Radiant Longwear actually. I think that's what kind of springs to mind. Let me just zoom you guys in. I know we can do that now, I'm so happy. So you can see around the nose, just around here, it's pretty glowy already. And that's telling me it's not gonna last. But everywhere else, and like on this breakout, I think it's sitting really well. Okay, so next up, let's actually try the concealer, and the shade looks pretty light. Like, this does look like the type of shade that I would go for. Let me quickly compare. My most used concealer, I would say, is the I Heart Revolution concealer. So that's the shade Buttermilk, which I would wear most days. That's Oat. How does this compare? Let's say. Oh, it's very yellow. I'm a little bit scared. It does look pretty thick though, and it has a really big doe foot, so I think we're kind of going after Shape Tape. I'm not gonna use too much product, I think. Oh, I've used a lot on my forehead. Oh, they don't feel like they're gonna match that well. I don't know, let's blend it out. Yeah, that's highlighting the chin, isn't it? This is very yellow, which is great if that's your undertone, but it's not gonna suit everyone. Okay, they seem to blend in okay. Now they're blended out, it's not as dramatic as I thought it would be. Moment of truth. Let's get it under the eyes. I'm gonna start it here. I don't use a lot under my eyes because my under eyes crease very easily. I have tried the YouTuber technique. Oh, okay, that spreads out a lot. Yeah, I've tried the YouTuber techniques for concealer and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. You do not need a lot of product with this. I would say actually how far it's spreading out, it feels comparable to that Too Faced one. Although I would say the Too Faced one isn't matte, like it is a more hydrating formula. The coverage seems good and I don't mind more of a yellow concealer. It definitely will color correct for me. Okay. I really thought the concealer was gonna look horrifically light against the foundation, but it looks quite nice. I would actually say that the concealer is more matte than the foundation, because see on this side I feel really glowy, and then on this side, nowhere near as glowy, nowhere near. Just gotta make sure I get nice and close. I just use it to blend out into the edges of my P. Louise base. Just gonna grab a Morphe 330 just to soften up the edge of my eyeshadow again. I've just whacked loads of fallout on my face, so that's nice. They say this is high coverage. I mean, it's definitely covered up if we compared the two sides. I'm gonna try adding like a little bit down here. I don't want a lot, I don't normally do this. I just want to try and lighten up the foundation. And then maybe if I bring a bit more on the forehead. Yeah. Do you see how that's just brought in a bit more dimension to my face? And I just feel a little bit less orange. I'm just gonna do the other side. I don't really feel like I have anything else to add. I feel like it's brightened everything really nicely and the coverage is pretty decent. I don't normally set my concealer, but I might try setting one side, leaving the other unset, and we can see how it compares. I'm actually gonna zoom you guys in for that. So I'm just gonna go back in with the brush and then with the sponge, make sure I haven't got any creases. Problem is that where my creases are, anything will crease in there, like even my eyeshadow. And I'm just gonna take my Nabla Close Up setting powder. It's just a translucent one. I've just been trying to use it up a bit more lately. So I'm just taking another M330 from Morphe, taking just a little bit of powder. I don't like setting my under eyes because I feel like it makes them really like dry. I mean, yeah, that's what it looks like. We'll see how that lasts. Right, so next I'm gonna powder and I'm gonna use my MAC Mineralize Skin Finish and I'm gonna take the shade Light just because hopefully it will help brighten everything up a little bit more. And as always, I'm using that on my Peaches and Cream PC04. I've just realised what I should have done was check the time as soon as I finished applying the foundation, which I didn't do. But it is currently just gone 11. So powdering over, again, looks absolutely fine. Some foundations I find if I haven't spot concealed and then I powder, it kind of almost like has less coverage, but I don't feel like it's the case here. It's sitting really nicely. I feel like maybe it's caking around the base of my nose a little bit, but that's my fault for caking it on. Nothing going into my smile lines right now either. Okay, right, we'll carry on. So I'm just gonna do all the rest of the base, so the bronzer, the blush and all of that, and we're gonna see how it applies over the foundation. Okay, there we go. So that's all of that applied. What I get sometimes with some foundations and powders, like I get this with the Jouer foundation, for example, I'll apply my bronzer and the foundation kind of moves and doesn't look right. Like it's almost like it's removed product, and that hasn't happened at all on the forehead. That's looking really good. And the bronzer applied great, so did the contour. Not so great with the blush. I used my Jaclyn Hill JH06 and I had the same issue the other day with the Revolution foundation. It's looking like it's removed product, and I feel like I haven't had that problem in so long, and it's done it on this side too. So I wonder if it's the brush or the blush formula, but I've never had that issue with them before, so I don't really know. So I'm just gonna really quickly go and finish off what's left of the makeup, and then we'll come back, pop some setting spray on, and see how things are looking. All right guys, so the rest of the makeup is done. As you can see, I've gone pretty monochromatic today, but I kind of like it. I'm quite happy with it. I did tried to go over the blush a little bit using my Iconic London brush. I just kind of tried to buff it in a little bit more, see if I could improve the texture. I don't really think I have. I think it's still sitting really nicely on the forehead. It's a little bit textured either side of my eyes, but that happens to me with like pretty much every single foundation, and it might settle down throughout the day with like oils and stuff. I've added some gems on the under eye, which might be a silly thing to do, I've realized, if I'm trying to see how the concealer is doing. I feel like in terms of creasing right now, though, I'm not really seeing any difference either side. I'm just gonna take my Collection Primed and Ready matte. I don't feel like it necessarily does all that much in terms of making things stay matte. Like it's the one I tend to use for like spraying eyeshadows and stuff. I just didn't want one that was going to be too hydrating or too kind of sticking everything in place. So I think this one should do the trick. I'm just really disappointed by that texture that I've got on my cheeks. I can just now feel like I can see every pore, and that wasn't the case when it was just the foundation, so maybe that is me with the blush. I don't know, that's something that I'll have to test again, but we're gonna see how it lasts throughout the day. So it is now 11:34. My nose is already looking pretty glossy, no surprises there. I'm gonna film the intro for this and then take pictures, and then I think I'll probably have lunch. I've got some laundry to hang up, and then I might, if I'm up for it, if I'm feeling it, I might go to Tesco and get some snacks. And if I do, I don't have the car, so I would need to cycle. So I would definitely be putting the foundation up for a test. So I may do that. But yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in a few hours and we'll see how this is looking. All right guys, so it's just gone 1:30. So we've had the foundation on for a couple of hours at this point. It's also really, really sunny, and apparently the weather's meant to get really, really bad this weekend. So I am cycling to Tesco. Gonna go and get myself some snacks. Gonna come home and veg out, probably. I bet you guys can't believe how good I look in a helmet. I know. It's about a 5-mile round trip, so it's not very long, but it'll probably be a good amount to see how the foundation does, how it stays on, and then we'll check in when we get home. Right, I've just made it to Tesco. I saw some dogs on the way, so whatever happens now, this trip was entirely worth it. Okay, this is the best cereal in the world, and nothing is ever gonna change my mind on that, so I'm gonna grab some of that. It's also important to eat a varied diet, so I guess I'll get some of these as well. Okay, honestly, I have no idea how people do this vlogging thing, because there were loads of people and I was just grabbing some Nutella and I was way too awkward to talk. So I'm gonna head home now. Oh, and yes, this is a Star Wars mask. I will try and remember to put the link in my description box. It's from Etsy and it's really nice and it's lasting me really well. So yeah, I'll try and make sure I put the link for you. Okay, so I've made it home. Apparently when I haven't got my hair down and I wear my helmet, it like really, really digs into my head. It's left like a massive mark. It's actually quite painful. Here is the rest of my haul from Tesco, just in case anyone wasn't clear on why I've been breaking out recently. Alright guys, so it is now 3:30, so we've had the foundation on for like 4-ish hours, I think. I can't actually remember right now. So let me zoom you guys in. This is what the foundation is looking like at the moment, and I have to say this isn't bad at all. The first thing that kind of jumps out obviously is the mark that I mentioned from my helmet, so that's on both sides, but that is obviously inevitable. And as always, the marks from my glasses, again, there's nothing we can do about that. But other than that, for 4 hours, I'd say we're doing pretty well. Let me dim the brightness a little bit. I feel like things have kind of settled down a little bit on the cheeks, so you can still see the texture, but I almost feel like this actually looks better than it did earlier. I don't know, I'll check when I look back at the footage. But considering that this is like a luminous matte, like it wasn't fully matte, and I've just gone for a cycle, and also considering the fact that I've worn a mask. I didn't wear the mask for very long, like I wasn't in Tesco's for very long. I do have like a little mark here, I think that's from the mask. I feel like I expected it to be kind of worse right now, especially on my nose. Like it's looking shiny, but it's not really come off on my nose around the mask, has it? I also don't really have very much settling at all in my smile line, so that was very good. And then in terms of the concealer, looking at both under eyes, I mean, I don't think they look that different. I don't think the creasing is kind of out of the ordinary for me, but I think I prefer the unset side, because like this does look a little bit crepey, a little bit dry. But yeah, it doesn't feel like the concealer has moved too much. The coverage is still there. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good so far. It doesn't feel dry, even though I've gone outside, there's been wind. I don't feel dehydrated. Yeah, okay, this is going well. So I'm gonna leave this now. I'm not gonna do anything any more exciting. I'll come back in a few hours and we'll see what it looks like. All right, guys, so it is now 10 to 8, which is pretty good going. How long have we had this on now? 8 hours, just over. So let's take a look at this foundation. Let me zoom you in again. I look oily, can't deny that. I definitely do look oily in my T-zone, on my nose. It really hasn't come off too much though on my nose. Like, you've obviously again got the glasses marks. It's definitely settled down in these areas on the side of my face. It's taken a few hours to get there, but we got there in the end. I think what I'm most impressed by is that it really hasn't settled all that much into my smile lines or my lines here. I normally get so much, like, by the end of the day, you can just see the lines on my face because I frown so much. Like, I can see a little bit, but in terms of settling, that's probably what is impressing me the most. Like, it's not bad. When it comes to the concealer, I don't feel like I can really see a difference between the two sides. At this point, I feel like they kind of look the same. I mean, you can tell it's lived in, but it's not bad. And it's not the worst creasing I've ever had with a concealer. I have got ones that are thick and full coverage that definitely crease a lot more. Again, is that because the eyeshadow was down quite a bit lower today? It's really, really hard to say. I definitely have to wear it more, but I do want to wear these again. Like, I'm not put off by this. I think this does look really nice. I'm going to try powdering over. I want to see what happens. I don't normally powder over, like, I'm quite lazy, but I want to see what it does. So it's just my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish again, I should have said. Okay, well, it's mattifying it. Seems to be layering pretty well. I'm literally just going over those oily areas. Okay, I think you could definitely get away with powdering this again throughout the day. I feel like I wouldn't go for anything too heavy. It's very close to looking cakey, like right on the apples of my cheek. So I would definitely go with a really, really light powder, but you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad at all. So let's have a chat about my final first impressions on these products. When it comes to the foundation, I have to say that the coverage is definitely what impressed me the most, especially considering they paint this as buildable medium. I feel like I expected something a bit lighter, but I would consider this medium to full easily. Like, I didn't feel the need to go for any spot concealing. The coverage on the concealer was also nice, and I felt like for what I would consider a thicker, heavier coverage formula, I just didn't get the creasing that I would normally get. The finish of this foundation was also lovely. As I said, I would not call this foundation matte. If you are someone who likes a really, really matte finish, then this is not going to be for you. This did have a lot of luminosity. I still had so much glow coming through. So for me, this is more like your NARS Naturally Radiant foundation, and I feel like I want to compare the two, but I don't have any of it left right now, and I can't really justify going out and buying it. Maybe at some point I will, because I felt like that's what it reminded me of the most. And then, as I said, it wasn't really settling. It seemed fine under my mask. It seemed fine when I went for a cycle. So I definitely put it through a little bit of stress. It wasn't the most intense day. Like, I'd love to know how it copes under a whole day of mask wearing, but for what I put it through today, I was pretty happy with the performance. Unfortunately, the biggest issue with both of these products remains the shade range. As much as I've enjoyed the product today, the shade range just isn't any good. I mean, it's 5 shades. I don't understand why. I'd like to know the reason behind it. I don't really get it. It's been a long time since I've bought the lightest shade in a foundation, and it's too dark for me. So if you're paler than me, this isn't gonna work. And looking at the rest of the shades on the website, I don't know who those shades work for. The concealer shade, I would say, is a good shade for me all year round. Like, that is really light, but I don't see myself being able to wear this until summer. It is just that little bit too dark. It looks fine on camera. Like, I feel like right now it looks absolutely fine, but if I wear my actual shade on camera, it will look washed out. It will be too pale. So in real life, I could not get away with this foundation at the moment. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing from W7 because they are a brand that I really enjoy, but I just don't understand why we're still seeing these very, very limited shade ranges, and I just think that they can do better. There we go. Anyway guys, that is it for today's video. I hope as always that you enjoyed it. Definitely let me know your thoughts on the products down below if you've already tried them or if you're planning on trying them. If you enjoyed the video, then do as always, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on my next video. And I'll see you all on the next one. Bye guys.